I was away at school, they only had an hour of television time between supper and prep. And I remember once I went into the television room and I bullied some chums to come along too and say, right, we're going to watch it. And we only lasted 8.5 minutes. And that was all I ever managed to watch when I was away at school. And I think here, with a bit of support, you can sort of come out and declare that you're a fan without being looked down upon.
Oh, I must know what's going on in the street. I can't miss it.
Oh, I love it, yeah.
Typifies us, doesn't it?
I'm always glued to the television with it. Just like Laura. Well, let's face it, it's like an everyday life, isn't it?
All the characters are a good laugh. That's what's good about the programme.
What's his name? Benny is one of the best, isn't he? Oh, she crossed my big one, yeah. Yeah, I'll get a mixed up,
It's great.
It's great, watch every week.
I've watched it for 25 years, I think.
Earlier this month, Coronation Street celebrated its Silver Jubilee. In this special programme, viewers recall their favourite moments from past episodes. And Tony Warren, the man who invented Coronation Street, talks about the characters he created 25 years ago.
I wasn't born in a Coronation Street, but it was there in my background. My grandparents still lived in Coronation Street, and I was the kind of child that people took everywhere. I don't know why. But I was never satisfied until I saw the insides of people's houses and then the insides of the relations' houses. And so, as a small boy, I was carted down to Salford all the time. I was, in a way, the outsider, and the outsider sees more. I might begin, or I might have begun all those years ago, with real-life people to base the characters on, but the moment I hit paper, the pencil seemed to run away and the character would take on a life of its own.
Esmeralda Street, eh? Very bay windy down there, aren't they? Oh, well, you find it very different up here. There's some very funny people in this street. You come across a Mrs. Tanner yet?
I can't say I have.
You will. You want to watch her? She's a bad one.
Originally, Elsie Tanner was a very glamorous figure from my childhood, whose house was known during the war as the League of Nations.
For years and years, I've shut my eyes and ears to the goings-on at number 11 Coronation Street.
And what exactly are the goings-on you refer to?
Oh, yes, well, you might flush her. We all know what your war work was. From 1939 to 1945, number 11 Coronation Street was just Liberty Hall. It was always a surprise to me that come VJ Day, them Yanks didn't take it down stone by stone and rebuild it in the United States of America.
Have you anything more to say?
Yes, plenty. Cast your mind back to VJ Day, madam. Cast it back. 2 Yanks held the ladder up to the front of your house while you toddled up and hung out a banner that said, God bless Monty and the boys. Never in the memory of God have I known such downright sarcasm, and don't talk to me, I'm talking.
Now, listen, I'm doing the talking, and I'm telling you this. Is it true that you've been putting it around that I've been carrying on with a fella?
But you are, aren't you?
Not that it's any of your business, but just for your information, that happens to be my husband. It is my silver wedding next year, and I also have my marriage lines to prove it. More's the pity.
Quite a lot of her was, there's always an arm here and a leg there. A char I had in London when I was just a teenage actor. And there was a lot of her. She was the one who said they called us good time girls, and we were. We had a bloody good time.
You know, Arnold was right about you. I should have listened to him. You know your trouble, don't you? You're common. You're bloody common.
Right, you've gone your length. Out.
Now, you listen to me.
I'm not interested. Just get.
Look, perhaps you're worried about the divorce and the neighbours. Well, you don't need to worry, because when I got my decree eyesight...
I'm not interested in your decree eyesight. There's the door. Lover boy's waiting, and you can tell him from me from now on he can whistle for his divorce.
You know, the woman I once thought I wasn't up there anymore. I keep looking at myself from the outside. Seeing myself as other people do.
Yeah, well, it's never the same, is it?
It's lousy. Terrifying.
Just a matter of coming to terms with yourself.
What have I got to come to terms with?
Oh, come on, Els. I mean, you got friends, good job. You're still an attractive woman.
For a good liar, you're a lousy liar.
Yeah, well, you know, when you get yourself done
When
up...
I get myself done up, what? You know what I look like when I get done up, shall I tell you? Like a clapped-out old tart.
Perhaps everybody wouldn't approve of her, but on the other hand, she was a very warm-hearted woman, and she was generous, and perhaps she was over-generous, one could say.
You felt a little bit anxious for her because I don't think she was quite in control of what you would call her more animal-like emotions.
Elsie and Len were, they just were very closely connected. I just feel there wasn't romance between them, but there could well have been had things been different.
Hey, out. Oh, what's she said? Just that you've been sniffing round.
Well, she's a liar.
You're the liar.
As if I'd chase a middle-aged tart like you. Oh!
Come off, Len. Look, she's a liar. I'm not... All right, Dad. All right.
Stop it!
All right.
Get out! Get out, the pair of you!
Elsie!
I think Elsie was very important to everybody in Coronation Street, and particularly to the three old ladies.
I used to love them sitting in that little snug, putting the world to rights. And one of the nice things was that though Ina always appeared the strongest of the three characters, Martha used to very carefully, very quietly put her down.
How many have you had so far?
4 and a calendar.
I like a nice calendar.
There's a picture of a Scotty dog with a pipe in his mouth and a bit of lucky heather going on, you know. How many have you had, Minnie?
Just one from the vet.
You mean say you haven't had mine yet?
Not yet.
Well, I posted it yesterday. Are you sure?
Positive. You can come and have a look on our mantelpiece if you like. There's just the one. 'Cause our Lily's having private ones this time.
Oh, your Lily's getting very luggage in advance, isn't she? I'm not so stuck on them private ones myself. I like to be able to turn a card over and see how much it's set 'em back.
You want to watch out. Somebody might go doing it back on you.
Not me. I bought 'em boxed.
Ina was, to a certain extent, my grandmother. I can always remember my grandmother sitting there saying, no bugger loves you when you're old. And one daughter was poking the fire, one with a hat on was cleaning the window, and the other was polishing brass.
Does our Madge know I'm stuck here?
I don't know, Mother. Don't ask me.
Well, why isn't she here?
I don't know.
I expect she knows the way the will goes. Well, I'm very sorry to have to tell you that you'll none of you be collecting yet a while.
Oh, you shouldn't talk like that, Mother. It's proper morbid.
You know, I had 3 doctors around me this afternoon, and one of them was as black as a chimney bag. Oh, he was clean, you could tell. His face shone like black leading. The food's terrible.
Is it?
Well, they're always trying to make me eat boiled fruit. I said to that nurse, I said, it's all right for folk as like it, but I like somebody that's looked over a wall.
And everyone was sort of very nervous because they never knew what Ina was going to do. She could be really charming and really strong personality-wise, but other times she could really clamp down on them and make them feel small, be quite cruel even, couldn't she?
Number 7.
Pardon?
Number 7, that's where he lives. And he'll be in.
Oh, thank you. Thanks very much.
It's quite all right. And if you had any hopes of getting your hooks in Harry Hewitt, you'd best forget them. He's not going to choose mutton when he can get spring lamb.
You have to understand that in Coronation Street, or in Coronation Street certainly at the end of the 50s, that shop owners and publicans were they. The rest were us. And people who had businesses were very definitely they.
All right. That's what I'm going on about.
Oh.
Well, you might say, oh.
It's just a bit of fun.
A bit of fun? Tucked away at the back of your bowling bag?
Oh, give up.
Oh, I've heard about fellas of your age. They go off the rails. You want to watch it.
Now, look, I've told you it was a bit of fun, that's all.
I can just see you going into the shop to buy it. All I hope is you had the decency to get it somewhere away from here, that's all.
I didn't go in no shop.
You got it on the market for all the world to see?
No, somebody give it me.
Oh.
I'm not going telling tales and getting anybody into trouble.
Oh. Well, when you next see her, give her my kind regards and tell her she's welcome to you.
I think she felt that she had married slightly beneath her, but she was perfectly prepared to go on, and so long as he kept his place, she was happy with him.
He let her think she was having her own way, but she wasn't really.
Oh, no. No, no. He always got what he wanted in the end.
Yes.
All this makes one long for a more gracious age.
Oh.
Crinolines. Yes, crinolines. And scented cashews. And lavender bags. And China tea on the terrace.
Hey? Oh, Annie.
Yes?
I had a word with our author before we came out.
And as I told you, he said that he couldn't help us out himself that night for my reunion and your Lady Victular.
If you're going to say no to someone who can help us out, the answer is no. I will not have strangers behind my bar. Heaven knows we've had enough trouble in the past.
But I will only try.
You were determined to ruin my day, weren't you, Jack? Well, you'll be happy to know that you've succeeded. And don't worry about your precious reunion. Anything could happen before that. I could, for instance, have left you.
Promises.
I'd like to see the incident with Dennis Tanner when he had the sea lion in Mrs. Walker's bath.
He was looking after some sea lions for, I think it was a friend, and kept them and sneaked them into Mrs. Walker's pub. And there's a lovely scene where she comes home from a dinner dance and finds 2 sea lions in the bath.
Jack?
Huh?
Did you hear something?
No, why?
Must be me. I thought I heard something bark.
Huh?
You're probably right, love. He doesn't have much call to come round this way, I don't expect. Now, you go to bed, love. I'm going to have a nice long soak in the bath and relax.
There won't be any hot water, will there?
Oh, there should be. It was boiling when we left. I'll just go and see.
I don't know.
Well, I think Annie Walker must be my most favourite. And I think she maintained her character throughout wonderfully, and I enjoyed the way she set about being larger than life and just a little better educated than everybody else there.
The clue to Annie is Annie saying, my idea of heaven is doing a foxtrot on a French chalk floor, knowing I look right. But she made damn sure she said it to somebody who had no opportunity of doing that.
Yeah, she just had that right tone, a sort of smug superiority about her, which you can find in quite a number of pubs in Cambridge.
It has always been customary at this time of the year for the landlord of this establishment to show his or her appreciation of the staff. Now, unfortunately, Elizabeth isn't with us tonight, but Bet is here, and I would like to thank her for her loyalty and industry during the past year, and give her a small token of my regard. But before I do so, I must add a word of warning. Please remember the old dictum, moderation in all things. Very important.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, all I can do is repeat everything that Mrs. Walker said, except when it comes to the bit about being careful. And I'll have to ask her to double up on that, because there's twice as many in here. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I always felt almost in my own room I got to behave myself if Annie Walker was watching me. Now, Bet, really, I think with Bet, she'd let you do what you liked and have a good time.
A Bet lunch. Yeah, that's it, Bet lunch, yeah.
She's right common, isn't she?
Bet lunch for sarcasm and witty humour. Bet lunch. I like the two of them.
Bet, I mean, he's just so bold and brassy and lovable.
He's a married man. And he also happens to have a public position.
Oh, he's only a councillor, for God's sake.
He's very well known, though. You can't avoid too many scandals.
Scandals? You sound like something out of Jane Austen. Everybody's at it in this flipping town.
I'm not.
Well. Anyway, what do you mean, too many scandals?
Well, he's no saint, isn't Des?
Oh, I didn't think he was, love. He's a fella, isn't he? Look, the first wink came from him, Alf. Not from me. OK, so I winked back. But in my book, that's Queensberry rules, married or not.
Oh, and is it Queensberry rules to bring him round here?
And that's what's really upsetting you, isn't it?
It's a bit embarrassing, Bet, yeah. I mean, I do know his wife. Oh, no, it's not that, though. It's just that no good can come of it. I can see it all ending badly, in tears.
Well, I wouldn't worry about it, Alf. It'll probably be me who's doing the crying.
We want human beings. We don't want angels. The angel Gabriel doesn't seem to be available usually on Earth, so we may as well have a few bed lynches as well. They make life interesting.
Bet I get impatient with for being her age. She should know better.
She's got that humour about her when she goes into the pub, but, you know, beneath that, she does care. She's a serious side to her nature.
This time, I thought. This time, it's not some smooth operator who's got me conned from now till next Christmas. It's Len.
I didn't.
Con me? No, you didn't. You promised me nothing. I led like I usually do with me chin. I just thought, here's a bloke I can trust. Perhaps this time, no snags.
Can we just go
Go on like this, till we're drawing our old age pension. No love. I'm sorry, Len. That's it. The show's over.
I don't think she's really meant for a man. I think I don't think they'll ever marry her, and if they do, they make a big mistake. Because I don't think she's meant to be married. I think she's meant to carry on the way she is.
Let's hope this next gentleman is more your type. Actually, I rather think he will be.
Hi. My name's Vincent Clare. I'm in the business, show business, that is. I sing, I tell a few gags. Maybe you've even heard of me. I'm pretty well known in clubland.
Are you all
That
right,
isn't my
Miss Lynn?
profession. I have my
When the Duckworths first came on, I was jumping up and down. I thought, they're horrible. Low life and common, and that Vera with that big mouth, and Jack. Oh, I thought, how horrible.
But what did they say at the agency?
Well, they've rung Vince.
Vince.
And no problem. He says he's not doing out tomorrow night, and he would like nothing better than to meet the lovely Carol.
Do you know I'll kill him?
I mean, that Jack Duck was probably the best character in there, isn't he?
His levity and humour, and his sort of carefree attitude with his wife and his son, who obviously are greatly attracted to him, and yet at the same time find him really quite impossible.
Oh, Vera's not finishing.
I thought she'd gone to bingo.
Oh.
There is somebody, though, waiting for you in the snug.
It'll be that fare I'm taking up to Leeds.
Oh, well, watch yourself, Jack, because I've seen him. And I thought, that's Jack Duckworth, I thought. Aren't you having a drink, Jack?
No. I won't have time. I'll be going straight out.
Yes, you will, won't you?
Hi, Carol.
Well, hello, Vince. Terrific to meet you.
And you're no flipping widder either.
No, but I will 10 minutes after I get you home.
I'm beginning to like them. And they keep on saying I don't like them. But I do. I love the Duckworths.
Hey, Ivy, look what Cat's dragged in. Do you think my wife's eating here?
Vera. Hello, Jack.
Hello, Ivy. Nice to see you've got a kind word for me.
I've got a kind word for you and all. Skunk. It's not very flattering, but it's a lot better word than I could use.
Women's Lips finally found the answer to Les Dawson. You've met the wife, haven't you?
Ignore him, Ivy.
Oh, listen, I don't want much. I think I'll just have scrambled eggs on toast.
It's a down-to-earth attitude, I think. I think it's everyday living. When you look at Ivy, it's everyday living, you know what I mean?
Girl, at first, you know, I used to play up to Brian, but now she knows how to handle him and takes him down a peg or two when he's getting a bit too big-headed.
Do you know what marriage is, Brian?
Finding out, aren't I?
Finding out. You're turning a blind eye to it as far as I can see. Can't understand why fellas get married in the first place. I was ashamed when I heard that about you. Ashamed. I'll tell you something for nothing, Brian. You're getting far more out of this marriage than you're putting in, and that's a fact. It's not just tipping over your wage packet, you know. It's sharing. It's working together when times are bad. It's enjoying it.
Enjoying it?
Yes, enjoying it. It's life, Brian, and living it, the two of you, three of you now. Come on, you're lucky. You're bloody lucky, and I'm lucky too. OK, I might be on the dole, but I've got your mother. How do you think I'd cope if it wasn't for her?
You don't know what it's like, Dad.
Oh, don't give me you don't know what it's like, Dad. We've had it far worse than you, Brian. Far worse. Come on. Look, you've got a nice house. OK, it's not paid for.
Don't remind me.
Brian, it's a partnership. You have to work at it. So come on. You've got a good one, Gail. Don't you lose a son.
We are smashing the price barrier as price
prices crash by up to 60% in Allied's Price Breaker sale. Starts Boxing Day at Superstores, Friday all other stores.
We're all going on a haven holiday, doing things we always wanted to. Fun and laughter on a haven holiday. There's so much of everything to see and do to make our dreams come true.
Haven Holidays. All round the best of self-catering family holidays in England and Wales.
To make our dreams come true.
People prefer gas. It's Britain's favourite fuel. But like any fuel, it must be used carefully. So if you smell gas at home, at work or in the street, don't leave it to someone else. Call the gas people. We're in the phone book under gas. British Gas has a continuing commitment to safety. That's why we're on call 24 hours a day, every day, year in, year out. So remember, if you smell gas, call the gas people.
Superb suits cut to half price in the Mossbros sale, plus thousands of other menswear bargains tomorrow at Covent Garden and Branches.
Janet, come up to the roof for a party. 8 o'clock prompt.
David.
I said 8 o'clock prompt, kid.
Oh, David.
Of all the roofs in all the world, you had to walk onto mine.
The night was made for moonlight. We're cutting the prices at Dickens & Jones. Snip.
There is no greater test for the sportsman than the modern pentathlon. The javelin, the high jump, the shooting, the floor exercises, and my best event, the bars. Half a second slow. Funny, I was all right at training this morning.
Hoffmeister, a great lager, follow the bear.
Motorists, for a really fun day out, bring your family to central London. Mingle with the crowds.
Look at all the latest lines.
Meet Londoners as they really are. Get a ticket that could entitle you to a fabulous accessory for your car. Yes, you'll have so much fun, you won't be able to drag yourself away.
Don't go off the rails. Take a tube or a train.
Wondering about the terms.
Terms? What terms, then?
Well, the money, you see.
Oh, the money, the old lolly, yeah. Well, look, Ma, I know what you're doing for me. It's straight from the kindness of your heart.
Well, I was wondering, would 30 shillings a week be all right?
Oh,
with 2 meals a day.
30 shillings? Oh, now, Ma.
Oh, well, yes, I suppose perhaps I did ought to have said £1.
£2, Ma, and it's a bargain, eh? A bargain. Come on, let's shake hands on it, and the best of luck. Right, well, look, I'll scarper now and get those draft excluders for you.
Oh, well, you get cheap ones, won't you? Because I've only got my pension, you know.
Between you and me, love, I've got a friend in the business. Friend in the business, you know.
Thank you, Sonny Jim.
It's a pleasure, Ma, a pleasure.
Oh, you're here, are you?
No, darling, that's me over there.
He was good to Minnie Caldwell. Doesn't matter what money he wanted, he always got. And she was good to him as well. She looked on him as her son.
He was a naughty boy, and I have an affinity with naughty boys. I don't know why.
For a mere fraction of the cost, I attach this device on the telly like so.
Preventing another from
Here we are. Hey, presto! Coloured television.
That's never colour, Sally.
Hey, it's blue at the top and green at the bottom. Hey, all right for football and racing, eh?
They are. What did they say, Stanley? Good as gold.
It's rubbish. It's just a nasty bit of plastic with a bit of colour daubed on.
Daubed on? Hilda, that is put on scientific. Look, a coloured telly costs 250 quid. That costs a mere fraction, couple of quid.
I don't care, it's no flaming good.
Yeah, but it's very reasonable for the price.
All right, yeah.
Oh, Luke, I don't care if it only costs 2 pence. It's no good and I'm not having it.
Oh, give over. It's better than nout.
Oh, story of my life is that? Better than nought. It'll do. Yeah, well, I've had a sickener of better than nought. You can get rid of it, and yourself and all. And if you want to do me a favour, take him with you.
Who's the girl with the duck that's at 45 degrees on the wall, who cleans the pub?
Elder Ogden, I think, because she's so natural.
She's very good. She's very moral.
My wife sits there and likes to look out the curtains and see what's going on down the street. And every time I see Elder Ogden, other than the curlers in, she reminds me of the wife.
There's a little bit of every woman in Hilda. We all like to know what's going on. Perhaps not as obvious as Hilda makes things, but most women like to know what's going on.
Oh, very nice. I'm glad you approve. Mind, it's not everybody's cup of tea. No? Oh, nothing personal, of course. Of course. No, but it's, well, it's not in keeping, is it? In keeping with what? This street. Like trying to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. Oh, no, I agree with Stan, you know, you might as well keep your money in the bank. I mean, as for installing folderols like...
Pink bathroom suites.
Yeah, well, like I said, everybody to his taste.
Do you know, Lola, that's the first sensible thing you've said yet. This is to my taste, and I see nothing wrong in making the place where you live look nicer if you can.
Ah, well, you wasn't always of that persuasion, though, was you? I can remember when this place was like a... Like a what? Well, shabby, shall we say?
Well, it's not shabby now. And might I add, it's a darn sight better than a lot of middens round this street.
I hope you're not referring to mine.
If the cat fits, wear it.
What about all them alterations my stand did last year?
What alterations?
Well, like a serving hatch.
Serving hatch? There was a flaming barn door.
Yeah, and that's not a flipping bath. It's phonographic, is that?
Well, at least I won't be keeping coal in it, will I?
No, you'll be keeping something grimier than coal in it, yourself.
I think she portrays things that happened to me when I was young. One instance being that when my husband was demobbed, excuse me, and couldn't find work at the beginning, when my children needed shoes or a new coat, rather than take what we then thought was sort of charity, I went out cleaning big houses. When she went to the doctor's house, when they went on holiday, she went into the doctor's house and looked all around her, and her eyes just lit up, and I heard her breathing. I thought, that's just me when I was young. I went to clean a huge big house, which had 2 bathrooms, one up and one down, and I didn't have any. I had one outside. And those little things, I think, make her one of us sort of thing, you know.
I'm a little bit like Elder Ogden, because I have to be quite extremely. I'm a bit like Elder Ogden. My husband likes Stan, because he doesn't work. And I don't get many friends like Hilda does.
Elder Ogden's husband, he was a character, you know what I mean? People could associate with the loud about, wouldn't he? But people are like that themselves in life, but no, people like him, don't they? You know what I mean? They're not fictitious.
He's a typical man. He doesn't do what Hilda wants him to do. He goes to the pub and drinks all day and spends Hilda's money.
They have always presented a very basic attitude towards life and never seem to be very much there, but you get the odd touching moment where they're really humanistic and have several qualities that you'd like to think that everybody has, really.
Oh, do you know, Stan, I still can't hardly believe it. Fabulous hotel, champagne, dinner for 2, probably be prawn cocktails and all that. Oh, it's like a dream come true.
I wonder who's at Rovers now.
Well, whoever it is, I'll bet they were wishing they was here.
Huh.
Do you really think he looks smashing?
I said sort of, no?
Well, I feel smashing. Don't you?
I feel all right,
Well, give us a kiss, then.
Hey?
You heard? Come on, you daft aper. 'Tis the second honeymoon, you know, not the first. Although, as I remember, you wasn't all that backward at coming forward then.
What's that lipstick taste of?
Woman, Stanley. Woman.
Hilda was superb when she lost Stan.
Oh, is this yours?
No. Ah, they gave me that at the hospital when I went for the death certificate. Dad's things.
Oh, yeah. Be careful now.
I'll keep in touch.
Yes, do that, love.
Now, don't stand out there, you'll catch cold.
No, all right. Drive carefully now.
Bye.
Ta-da.
her feelings spoke volumes. It was beautiful, that was. She was wonderful.
It was such a personal thing that it came through, right through the tube. It was so moving, and I can relate to it very easily because of deaths in my family. And I'm sure that it possibly could help other people to know that somebody else has gone through it.
My husband was killed coming home on the motorway. He was on his own. It was the same sort of thing. It was even the same sort of area. And I was struck with how well Barbara Knox performed in the episode. She took me through hell that night, there's no doubt about it. It was just so realistic. She could have overdone it, but she didn't. It was absolutely spot on.
How are you feeling this morning? What am I supposed to say to that? I didn't mean to sound insensitive. Oh, no, of course you didn't. I'm sorry. It's just that I've had quite a few visitors this morning. They all keep asking how I feel. As if I've got measles this summer. And I keep having to say I'm fine, thanks, under the circumstances. What I really feel like doing is screaming from the rooftops, and I feel as if I've lost an arm and a leg. There's no tomorrow anymore. The whole world's collapsed.
It's very true to life of Coronation Street that they show this kind of thing. They don't try to hide it. Because you can't hide death. It's as natural as birth and everything else. It's got to be shown.
Terrible way to die. How sort of degrading for Martha.
Yeah, get the doctor.
He's dead.
Val Barlow is somebody that really lived for me. I could feel the way that she felt when she was dreadfully tired, and she had those twins which were nearly the age of my two sons, and she used to pick them up and put them on the kitchen table and tie their hats on and rebutton their coats, and they were dribbling. And I thought, oh, golly, Val, I know just how you feel.
Look, give me about half an hour. Well, 20 minutes and I'll be fit to be seen. Yes, well, you're my husband, so it's a bit different. That's a bit cheeky, even for you. Soon as I can. Bye.
Yeah, she'll be along in about half an hour.
You give me that.
This can't be the end of Val, because she's rather somebody that I would feel the loss of. But it was, and I don't think I've ever had the same impact by an actress before.
Albert Chatlock wasn't there to start with, not in the very first script, and I was told to invent a character of age, charm, and distinction. And I've never been very good at following instructions as specific as that.
Don't be mean, share the joke. But what's up with you, for heaven's sake? You've had your breakfast in bed. Marvellous news in the newspaper. Rod Stewart's getting his hair cut. And hanging could be on the way back. Would have thought your cup of joy was full.
Oh, stop being sarky. Don't become you.
I'm not being sarky, it's just genuine amazement. You know, no amount of good news can raise your indomitable bad spirits. How do you get like that?
I'll tell you how I get like that. I get like that sitting here August bank holiday doing note. That's how I get like that.
Well, was there or was there not an over-60s outing to Ambleside, and did you or did you not turn your nose up at it?
Of course I did. Not going to be stuck in the bus with a lot of old dodderers.
But you're an old dodderer.
Am I, Eccles, like?
Well, Albus, he was very, very like my Uncle George, actually. My Uncle George wore a cloth cap, and he was in the war, that type of thing, you know. And he loved to talk about his medals, did Uncle George.
Old Tatlock used to drive me nuts just there to irritate me, I think.
Albert Tatlock, always on the bum for a rum.
I liked Albert Tatlock.
Oh, I didn't. Miserable
And Minnie
thing.
Caldwell and all of them. From the beginning, that is, isn't it?
We used to go into a draper's shop when I was little, and they were always talking about, we'll have to ask Mr. Davis. And when I was little, I don't think I ever saw this Mr. Davis, but they'd always have to ask Mr. Davis. And a picture grew in my mind of this man that they'd have to ask. And I suppose it turned into Leonard Swindley.
How many shops has Mr. Papagalopoulos?
6, Miss Regent, and the name is Papagopoulos.
Papadopoulos?
Yes, P-A-P-A-G... I've no doubt you'll have no difficulty in pronouncing it correctly when he visits us today.
They call him Nick the Greek at the raincoat factory. He buys there, you know.
Thank you, Miss Lostock.
Hey, the girls have another name for him and all.
Yes, thank you. Back to work. Well, now, we were trying to remember how many baby doll night dresses we have in stock.
There's 2, both black. Mr. Swindley was trying to remember Doreen.
Another
yeah,
one,
we've just
Miss
counted them.
Another one, please.
Night dresses, flannelette, outsize. One, Mrs. Sharp reported that with an hole under the armpit.
I knew a Leonard Swindley, perhaps not as much as Leonard Swindley as he was, but he was so self-righteous and sanctimonious, you just had to laugh at him. I mean, talking about Mr. Papagopoulos, and then, of course, at that time, you had Emily Nugent, as she was.
I don't believe it.
It's Parma ham. You do like it.
Oh, my dear Miss Nugent, a veritable cornucopia.
And there's tomato soup with cream, escalope of veal with mushrooms, new potatoes and broccoli, and the pineapple, of course, cheese, biscuits and coffee. It's quite a simple meal, really. I do hope it'll be all right.
Did you say escalope of veal?
It's one of my favourites.
Oh, mine also.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes, indeed. And broccoli spears.
And broccoli spears. Do commence.
Miss Nugent was all the Sunday school teachers I ever had. God is love and don't kick your nose, dear. And the key line to Miss Nugent really was, there was a great fight broke out in the shop. And Swindley said to her, what do you think of it, Miss Nugent? She said, well, don't ask me, Mr. Swindley. You see, we always live by the park.
We have each other, but will we always?
Oh, I suppose as long as Mr. Papagopoulos sees fit to employ us.
Oh, but outside business hours.
Oh, well, we know our interests, ambition, music. These things bring us together beyond the bounds of trade.
Precisely. We share so much. I wonder that we don't share it all. Share our lives. Why don't we join together our interests in nuptial agreement?
Yes, it sounds an excellent plan to me. Most desirable arrangement. Nuptial? Do I understand you to mean marriage, Miss Nugent?
Why not?
Miss Nugent, is it the vintage? Is it the hour?
Mr. Swindley, I'm serious. We could join together in holy matrimony.
We pastors and preachers fly from
But
the
we
thing
could
we're not equipped to
work
deal with.
together, side by side.
Oh, no. On the day of judgment, we stand alone.
Oh, but the years till then.
Meditation, Miss Nugent.
Mr. Swindley.
Please, good night, madam.
She's changed, I think, of all the characters. She's changed over the years. When, at the very beginning, she was very timid and afraid to meet people and very shy. But now she's much more self-reliant.
It's a very big step, Mavis, marriage.
It's not just a big step, Emily.
It's a long jump, as I very well know.
Yes, well, anyway, it's a step I felt I couldn't take again.
Oh, do you realise how lucky you are, Emily Bishop? How fortunate? Well, obviously not.
Oh, I realise it's very nice to be asked.
Nice? Oh, it's a miracle. Now, come on, Mavis, that's hardly... Well, I think it is. I mean, for you to be asked twice, I just do. And why you've refused him, I don't know.
Well, I don't consider marriage to be an absolute necessity, Mavis.
Well, what's the alternative, eh? A bleak, lonely old age, that's the alternative. And you know that better than I do, having been married to Ernest.
So I'm to marry Arnold in order to assure myself some companionship in my old age. That's what you're saying. It's not so much different from winning the man in Ken Barlow's raffle.
Well, that'd be better than nothing.
And that dopey girl works in the sweet shop. See their character, you can remember them because they're a bit dopey, aren't they? Say because they're dopey in life, but you can remember them because they're playing a dopey part, isn't it? That's the thing.
Oh, Mavis is wonderful. She really is such a perfect I used to have somebody who worked for me exactly like her. She had a sister. We had the two of them in the kitchen when we had the pub. And we used to nickname them Dither and Dather. I mean, she's just like that.
That's true, Dither and Dather.
She's just perfect. Oh, God, pedantic to the last.
Did I hear Derek?
Well, let's say you heard one of the men in your life.
Oh, don't start that. It was Derek, wasn't it?
Yes, it was Derek. He'll be back in a tick. But supposing it had been Victor.
Oh, it's Derek and Victor now, is it? Oh, all morning it's been the chocolate tycoon and the saddlewood sage.
All right, less of the sarcasm, madam. It's all right you swanning off for a snogging session in the park. Supposing it had been Victor, what am I supposed to tell him?
Well, tell him the truth. Tell him I'm engaged to be married.
Well, why didn't you tell him when he had him on the blower? Instead of dithering and acting the dope.
Tell him I'm not him. I don't talk like that.
She's getting a bit bossy lately, isn't she? I mean,
No.
she does work for Rita after all. She's always got the hump.
I am hoping the day might come when just for one performance of Coronation Street, Mavis is not a lady that night and Rita really will get a bowl of soup thrown at her.
Oh, I love Mavis, bless her heart. I've seen many Mavises dithering their way through life, going to the brink and then never quite going over. I hope you'll keep Mavis exactly as she is forever and ever.
Did you enjoy the polo?
Oh, it was lovely. I only wish I knew what was in it.
Yeah. Yes, I was quite relieved to find out it really were chicken myself, actually. But it was very good, though. They do it very well.
You know, I sometimes think that English cooking could do with a bit more adventure.
Your Firthcliffs certainly could, and Langtons. If it won't fit on toast, they can't do it.
Well, you won't live there forever, will you?
No, I suppose not, but I don't know where else I'd live at the moment, quite rightly.
Everything all right, signore?
Yes, it's very perfect, thank you.
Yes, I like Jerry. He was quite quiet and gentle, put up with quite a lot from various people.
Well, I thought that Jerry was very lucky, really, to be married to Myra because, you know, she's so beautiful. I know that she wasn't any good as a wife. She was an expensive hobby.
Well, we'll just have to try and economise in future, won't we?
Well, where has it gone? What have you spent it on?
Let it go! It's money, just go!
Well, what's it gone on?
Well, on you for a start. Aren't you the one that's always stuffing yourself with food? And you always expect the best, don't you? Well, that sort of food costs money. You won't find the other men on this street get the sort of food I give you.
It's not all gone on food. I'm not daft enough to fall for that one.
Well, it's not all my fault.
Well, whose blasted fault is it then?
Don't come in here. Don't look at me, please.
We had to have it out, Myra.
I was sorry for him. Oh, bless his heart. You know, they'd call him a wimp, I suppose, today, wouldn't they? And everybody was getting at him. Ray Langton and Len Fairclough.
Hello, mate.
Well.
Not now, Jerry, do you mind? We've got a bit of a business meeting going on here.
I'm sorry.
Jerry, Mr. Bell's coming at 3 o'clock for that timber. Okay.
Yeah, well, I must go and get it ready for him then, mustn't I?
Yeah, shut the door on your way out, will you?
Ray Langton.
I thought he was very good looking. Bit of a rogue. He was always after the girls, married or otherwise.
Where's Dickie?
He's inside. So you better get your skates on before he comes out and starts playing the heavy husband. If he does, you can always say Pixie come down out of the woods and carried you off.
I wouldn't be far wrong either.
What, me a Pixie?
You're a devil.
Now, you don't know that, do you? Yet.
Go on, say it. There is a word for it. Adultery.
What can I say? Janice isn't... Well, she's a nice girl.
Oh, yeah, she sounds like a very nice girl. Jumping into bed with somebody else's husband. Don't tell me she didn't know from the first you were married.
She knew, but she didn't ever mean it to be serious either. Well, we just didn't see where it was leading. I mean, it's not as if I was in love with her or anything.
What's that got to do with it? It's not what you were thinking. It's what you did. I don't give a damn how you felt about her. You went with her. Don't you touch her.
You what?
It's not just me you've cheated on, you know. It's that little kid upstairs. And did you conveniently forget that you had a daughter as well as a wife when you decided to do your own thing?
You know I wouldn't hurt Tracy for the world.
No, you won't, because I'm not going to give you the chance. I just thank God she's too young to understand. I wish to God I was.
I'd like to see the Ken and Deirdre affair again, because I think it was the best piece of acting ever on British television. I don't think anyone could have made such good acting as they did.
Boring.
It's as good a word as any.
Oh, yes, it is. It's the in word, isn't it? Anything isn't with it, swinging or trendy. It's boring. I'm boring! And there's just nothing I can do about it, because the great tragedy is that I'm not aware of it. I happen to think I'm a great guy. But apparently I'm wrong. Well, so be it.
And that's it?
That's it.
What about me? What about my life? I don't want a boring life. I don't want to just go through the motions.
But there's nothing wrong with your life. Your life is rounded. You've got a family, a home, a job, and friends. I mean, what's wrong with that?
It's not enough, Ken.
Well, what else do you want? Hmm?
What I've found.
That world out there. Those tight little streets. Full of people with tight little minds. It's not the universe.
It's mine, I suppose. Anyway, apart from that, Ken's started looking at me. Not suspiciously, but, well, just like he's remembered I'm a woman.
Deirdre, we're in love. You agree with that, don't you?
Yeah, I think we are.
So we just keep our cool and pick our time.
I think if it had been myself, I probably wouldn't have got involved with Mike Baldwin in the first place. Although he's much more a dynamic character than Ken was.
And he's certainly got away with women, hasn't he? If I'd been Deirdre, I would have gone off with him.
Ken, I don't want to go. Don't make me go. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I don't know why I'm doing this. You and Uncle Albert and Tracy, what must you think of me? I couldn't go through the door, can I go? Please don't say I've got to go. I'll do anything. I'll go and see my Baldwin. I'll tell him I'll never see him again. I'll never see him again as long as I live.
No. No, I'll tell him.
Well, Ken,
again, he's there with his newspaper and he's fat and boring, and you know, he's. And I think she's pretty.
I like Deirdre. I think Deirdre's good. Ken's good. You know, he's very, very good, but I don't think he really belongs to the street anymore. I think he'd have moved on somewhere.
I think he's lovely in this, you know, and I think he's going to stay a lot longer.
Looking back, I suppose at the time Kenneth Barlow was the nearest thing to me. Then, my own father always said the rows between Kenneth Barlow and his father, Frank, were my rows with him.
Here, what right have you got to do that?
You better get rid of the rest of them, too, before I fire them, too. And there might be no argument, Kenneth, because for a start off, you don't even know what you're talking
Well,
about.
look, that wasn't even mine, and it was supposed to be going in a procession tonight.
You wouldn't be thinking of being in this procession, too.
There's no question of thinking about it. I'm going to.
You're not.
And what right do you think you've got to stop me?
Every right. You're under 21. I'm still responsible for you. And I'm telling you straight, you're not.
Oh, yes, I'm under 21, all right. But if I hadn't got that scholarship, it wouldn't have stopped me going in the forces, would it?
But he didn't have to go in the army. Might have made a man of you.
Oh, that's you all over. Every time we have an argument...
There's no argument about it, so let's get this straight. If you go in that procession tonight, you leave this house for good and all.
It was the big generation gap family. Strangely enough, it seems hard to believe nowadays, Kenneth was the rebel.
There's one little thing you don't seem to understand, Kenneth Barlow. That's the fact that Harry and me was scrapping for you during the war, you know, when you were still running around in little nappies. You know, rifles and bayonets and all that kind of stuff. Only you wouldn't understand that, would you? We had no time to write articles, did we, Harry? Yeah, I suppose you'd just stand there and let them all come, wouldn't you?
Oh, you'll
I
never
suppose you're
understand.
flaming pacifist and all, aren't you?
Never understand. It's not a question of that.
Look, lad, just walk to that door. Will you do us a favour? Just walk to the door, turn left and keep going till you get to the council rubbish heap, and then throw yourself on it. And take that with you and all.
There's no need to get heavy.
Look,
Look, what I wrote... I'm not blaming anybody in particular. I blame everybody. I blame myself. I know people don't always like the truth.
You're built up. You make me sick.
Yeah, the truth's hard to take. I don't wonder it turns your stomach.
Just watch it, mate. Just watch it.
Chuck it. It's not worth it.
Look, if there's one thing wrong with Coronation Street, it's because it sometimes throws up nasty, sniveling little clever dicks like you. So belt up home and get your daddy to change your nappy before you get out.
That's just the kind of intelligent reaction I'd expect from a loud-mouthed, beer-swilling moron like you.
Say that again.
That's just the kind of...
Hey, stop that! I'm having no fighting. Hey, stop it, will you? Do something. Harry, do something.
All right, that's it.
In 1960, when I wrote the early episodes of The Street, Coronation Street really reflected the face of the nation. Coming to any major northern city on a train, and you saw row after row after row of Coronation Streets. When we came to the 70s, you came to this site here, which it's just typical. I mean, there were dozens of Coronation Streets across there, interlacing, and they pulled them all down and built those things on the skyline, streets in the sky. But if you'd looked over there, even a couple of months ago, I think up to last week, you'd have seen more of those streets in the sky, but they're pulling those down again too. So we've come full circle, and people are beginning to want the security of streets, the friendliness of it. But when all comes to all, Coronation Street isn't bricks and mortar, it's people.
Coronation Street continues on Monday at 7:30.